Okay, so we don't know exactly how many people will be joining today. Um, kind of a different sort of live because I'm going to be preparing for a trip. So you'll see exactly what I take, just for reference. So if you're doing something similar, um, that's that. Now there will be a big oof. What's up? Are you a subscriber? First time seeing your name. Hey, Brody. So wow, it's nice to see you again. I have an impromptu trip, so I was called this afternoon. Uh, oh, that guy. Cool. Oh, got it. Okay, got it. Yeah, I remember you. So I was called up this afternoon and asked if I could go. And just today, I mean, the reason why I had to like really get off stream earlier today, like really, really fast, was because the Emirates identity. Um, what's the name? It's like the identity bureau. Hey, Aaron. Okay, so from your last name, you must be from Hawaii as well. Anyway, so I was called up. The Emirates. What do you call this? The identity authority or something. So my ID is being delivered. So I have to show up. I have to go run outside, show my code and all that because it's you have to claim it in person, and they don't wait around. You know, and I've been waiting for this thing to get sorted out since last week, and I've missed several trips from last week where I was supposed to be part of. But anyway, the guys actually called me earlier today, and just right after I got the ID, and then they said like, yeah, okay, so now you're legal, you can go because every time you go out, you actually have to present the ID. So today, for the stream, I'm gonna be preparing for my trip, and I'm gonna show you guys exactly what I'm gonna take. Okay, so most of the rods I think are here, So um, for most of our trips, there's always going to be fast jigging, slow jigging, and casting. Those are the three standard things that we take. Okay, and knowing that uh, there's going to be school yellowfin tuna, so we're talking of fish of up to like 15 kilos, nothing more. Okay, so probably if we get lucky, we'll run into like 20 25 kg fish, but that's pretty much it. And then the other fish would be longtail tuna, and the dorado. If the fishing isn't too good, then there's going to be dorado. So um, I have a bunch of rods here, but I'm gonna look for the one that I need to take. All right, so this this is my casting rod. Okay, I think we'll do the casting until and then we do the jigging bits after. So this is an old grappler, and I'll give you the specs in a bit. Let me just take this off. Um, so this is an old grappler. In fact, this is probably one of the first in the. This is the high power, and it is the S80M. Okay, so max PE4. Okay, lure weight is 25 to 80, and then yeah, so max PE4. Lure weight is 25 to 80, 8 foot, and this rod, it wasn't too expensive. I'm pretty sure that the models have moved since, but I like this because it's kind of like a do-all. So poppers and stick baits actually really good, up to 80 grams. Okay, up to 80 grams, and then there's a heavier model for this, which is like a what the model like up to 100 grams, but I find it pretty big. It's just kind of too big. So this has been my workhorse for casting for a really long time, and it works these lures. So I don't know if you guys remember, but um, we tied assist hooks for these two. Okay, here, and this is like the perfect rod to work them. And then these two that are on here, this and this, I've also used. Um, Good afternoon, uh, Gonzalez. So that we'll take these four, and also this one right here, which is it's a Yuzuri. Okay, and I think all of them are floaters. So we also have stick. What do you call this? We also have like poppers. Um, but that's it for the casting. Now the reel, I'm gonna have to find the reel because the one that I have here can work with this, but um, kind of not. What do you call this? Kind of not what I'm looking for. I think tomorrow also what's gonna happen is that instead of taking a blue heaven, I'm gonna take a blue safari instead. So all the rods that I will choose, I'll put here. Um, I don't see us actually mid afternoon. Let's get uh, our signals better for stick baits. Signal? What do you mean? Singles. Singles, you mean? Um, Single hooks. Okay, so basically, let me let me take this mess so that I can show you, and I'll give you the whole explanation for this. Okay, so we need one with a treble hook, and then that's it. All right. So, all right, just need two. All right. So let's say you have all trebles. Okay, all trebles. So this and then here, it's all trebles. Um, Obviously, when it comes to this, it's like math. Okay, you have 6 points. Okay, and the advantage of trebles is that you hook and hey Fred. So what do you call this? The advantage is that you have 6 points. The disadvantage is that if you compare the uh, the size of the hook, it's quite small. So what happens is that when you hook the meat, it's just like that, right? Now singles, if you put singles, what happens is you'll have a very big purchase on the meat. The problem is it is one hook as opposed to three. So as far as hooking the fish is concerned, okay, you're at a disadvantage. But if you hook the fish, you have a major advantage, right? Because it holds more meat. If you rig it like this, right, with this style of assist hooks, this style of doing them, you will have more points, right? You have more points, and the holding power of this is increased because when this hooks a fish, the other point will actually look for what do you call this? The snag. much like what happens with a treble, well, either a treble or slow jigging hooks. So if you catch the fish in the scissors, okay, one would be inside and one would be outside, and effectively doubling the surface area of the hole, right? So you also have more points. So you have four as opposed to six. So two-thirds of the hooks that that's supposed to give you a lot of hooking power is there. So as far as performance is concerned, this is way better than trebles. Okay, so this style of making the uh, the assist hooks is actually the same as how Studio Ocean Mark makes the hooks. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Um, for slow jigging, I'm gonna be taking this, and it gives me. I'm gonna be fishing this with PE2, but this practically gives me up to 350 grams. Okay, but here's the thing, but a big but. Um, I'm thinking of actually dropping down smaller jigs instead of 350s. So if I limit myself to like 200 or probably even smaller, um, I might be able to I might be able to just use blue safaris because I have not used the ZG yet. So that's something that I'm thinking of. So instead of that, I'm probably one rod right here. So this is one of my rods from work before. This is a Storm Adagio, and it's rated for PE2. Um, okay, there we go. So that's how it looks. Now, I'll show you the reel. Now, I don't have the I. This is something that I'm gonna have to do. So basically, I'm gonna have to take the spool that has line and just pop it in here, and it's fast. Okay, so I'm thinking of having this as my combo for tomorrow. This is probably gonna give me the most fun for, or it's actually more than enough. But I also want to show what this guy can do. Um, okay, so that's the combo for this max 200 PE2, and then I will load probably PE 1.5 or something for this one. Okay, and so that um, I think for fast jigging, I also use a blue safari, and it will be this one because this is PG. Okay, so Garrett, okay, what reel are you using for the casting rod adapter? Oh no no no! I didn't forget to mention it. I didn't mention it yet. I said that I had a reel here that fits it, but this is not the reel I'm gonna use. So for fast jigging, this. So I'm gonna see now. I'm gonna look for the rod for this, and then I'm gonna look for the reel for that. All right. So let me go get the reel first because it's probably easier to find than the rod. Okay, just hang on for a moment. All right, here we go. So the reel I'm gonna use for that is the reel that sits on that thing, and it has been sitting on that thing for a really long time. It's this reel right here. Oh God, boxes all over the place. Holy shit. Okay, so this basically pairs up with the grappler really well. This is the 6000 XG, um, and it is spooled with PE3. Okay, so already has a leader installed and all that. Um, I use mono most of the time, even if I'm fishing for tuna. And I've like for this particular combo, my God, as far as the long tails and the small yellowfin here in Fujairah, this has been like a contributing factor for the decline. I've caught so much on this. Okay, so this works all of those lures that I showed earlier. So those guys right there um, works really well with this. Okay, so the reason why I didn't uh, see, if I was using poppers, I'd be using this. This is an HG. Okay, so twin power, and there's really nothing wrong with this reel. It's actually pretty good. But if I'm solely using poppers, this is hard to beat. Okay, but because we're using stick baits and um, there is a um, when the fish are highly pressured, okay, and I mean these fish are, if you see them, I don't want you guys to see them tomorrow, but if um, it's normal out there, you'll see that there's a shitload of boats actually fishing for these fish. So if you arrive like really early in the morning and you're pretty much the only boat that's chasing after them, that's all in good, you know, and poppers will work. Poppers are fantastic because when you see the strike, it's like really in your face, and it's one of my favorite ways to fish. Uh, as far as poppers go, small versions of these are actually really good. I'm probably gonna take like I think in the box there's actually one or two that's already on there, but the small explodes work really really well. Um, there's also like those wooden poppers that are similar shape that's really really good. Um, but you need them small. Actually, let me get one so that you can see. It's just here. It's just that it's snagged on everything, you know. So I have to look for one that's not snagged. So bear with me. I have a. Well, you guys will see this soon because what I have to do is arrange all of this and fix it. All right. So these are the types of poppers that. Wow! Woo! Almost. All right. So these, and I've used these before actually, and they're really good. Ooh, these are actually these hooks are pretty cool, huh? These are before they were prototypes. These are PTFE coated hooks from VMC, and you can see the shape is actually square, you know, instead of rounded, and it holds the fish really well. Anyway, so Chug Norris, Brody, yes, they're actually not bad, but I like the smaller sizes, but the bigger ones I don't really like them. It's the sound that they make that I don't like. Um, so these are kind of pretty standard, you know, these sort of poppers. And cedar plugs for tuna, yes, not too effective here. Plus, you know, you're kind of trolling, right? So when you're trolling, that's all in good and it's fun. But when you're casting, it's really much more fun. It's a bit more involved in like your part. So these poppers will work, and um, this is literally one of the weapons that I use for what do you call this, for even the big yellowfin actually have fell for like the big ones, GT and tuna, especially because those are what they were designed for. Okay, so probably down the line, I'm gonna what do you call this? I'm gonna tell you the story of actually how I helped develop this, because it's actually also a pretty cool story. It's just that I don't think that um, the technology, because it's sound technology. Um, I kind of don't want to share it, because it's something. It's really something. But probably down the line, if someone else actually does something similar, so we'll see. But yeah, this really good. Um, Also very very good for the run. Okay, so together with this and that. The problem if you're using an XG, when you're using a popper, okay, it's hard to work. So it has very little torque, okay, um, and you want a bit of a. So when you're working a popper, you're actually swinging, okay. So basically, you're going bang, okay. So an HG will actually give you a delay from when the popper moves, stops, and you reel in the slack, and that's why you use an HG. Okay. Now with an XG, with stick baits, especially with floating stick baits, it's very important because you're actually fishing slack. Okay. So the it's easier to work the stick baits with an XG more than an HG, because with an HG you're winding faster, whereas with this you're actually just relaxed. Zoom. And the way to do it, if we have the chance tomorrow to have like an open deck and have someone actually film us, I'm gonna show you guys how to properly work it. But basically, you're fishing on a slack. Okay, so you cast out instead of actually. Well, there are techniques where you want the line to be super tight. Okay, and then move it. But if you want the okay, let's borrow this. All right, so the the lure will hang in the water like that. And then, if you do it properly, what happens is it will actually dive down, swim, and then at the end of it, it will pop up. And what happens, look at that, see? It's gonna hook me. So have to be very careful. So even on its own, it's just by instinct, it just, we call this rig. So it dives down, it wiggles like S motion, and then go up. And the whole time will actually create like a bubble trail. So um, unlike a popper, that when you pop, it goes up, down, right? It goes up, down, and then makes a bubble trail, and then goes up, and it makes noise. Boom, 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 like that. This actually doesn't make an entry noise. It makes a vibration, breathes air, and then goes back down, and has like a bubble trail. And if you have the chance to actually notice it when you're done, when it's done right, believe it or not, it sounds like Coke when you pour it in a glass, you know, and then you hear the shh. It sounds like that because the bubbles that it forms are actually really fine, right? And all you see is actually just the lure going tip up and then disappears and then tip up again like that. You'll see the tip, you know. Um, Also, remember that these things float, okay? And if you want it to stay a bit more on the surface and have more control, you use mono. If you use fluorocarbon, it actually forces the the lure to actually go down because fluorocarbon does not float. So take note of that. Okay, there are even techniques wherein you put something. in front of the lure that floats to ensure that it floats. Okay, dokie. For the rod that I will use for the fast. Whoa. All right, so this is the rod. Okay, so um, this is Star Gomoku Kodachi, and it's actually rated for up to PE4 300. But I think what's going to happen tomorrow is that we're going to be doing more of like 100 something, probably 150, because this is what makes it move better. All right, so these three combos are what I'm going with, and it's okay. Now let me talk to you about the boat. So the boat is actually like what 45 feet or something, and there's only going to be like four people fishing, plus the captain maybe, so that's five. All right, so that's a very big boat for like a, like four people. If we're well, if you include the captain, five. Okay, so um, it's very easy to actually take a lot of gear. Okay, and it's very easy to go overboard for some things. Okay, so the only other thing that I'm gonna be taking with me tomorrow is the L75 because I want a picture with the L75 with a fish. That's it. Now the L75 is new. Okay, it's a new reel, and I haven't fished it yet. So it's very important for me to actually, um, you know, take it and have a fish. Uh, I use it there and actually catch a fish with it. Dima, it got too hot, you know. Plus, I just couldn't stand it. It was actually the side, that I couldn't stand. Uh, Flavio, actually, no. It's just that I went online because I'm preparing for a trip for tomorrow. I got called in by one of my students and said like before he goes back to Canada, he wants to go fishing. And I haven't fished with this kid for quite some time, especially with the move and everything. And the last time he was here, it was like December. But there's two last trips, so today and then Friday. So I don't know if I'll be joining on Friday as well, but we'll see if my wife is actually around. You know, maybe. But then again, maybe not. So we'll see. Um, but yeah, so the only other piece of gear I'm taking is this because this is kind of too big for the fish tomorrow. But if I want a picture with this, I'm gonna have to take it. All right. Now, not gonna lie, I actually have a few things that I need to test out, like stuff that I made. So, this together with whatever I'm gonna test out should be interesting. And yeah, we'll see. So, it would be very interesting, especially on the school tuna that we're going to be fishing for. Because tomorrow, uh, it's it- it's one of those days when the Coast Guard actually allowed. Because I don't know if you guys know. when the things with Iran was happening, there were some incidents here, and they wanted to keep everyone safe, so they closed off the fishing and limited everyone to 12 nautical miles, and that limit has just been taken off just recently. Okay. Uh, right. So I uh, I told you guys that I was going to change the spool on the black one, so we're gonna do that now, right? So this is PE2 300 meters, but I think it was like I put in something there, not PE2, 1.5 I believe. So I'm gonna change that. All right. So Dima, this one's for you, right there. Ah. Hey Hank, yeah, a new haircut. I was looking for the right size. Philip said. Ah, jeez, man, where? There we go. So, I'm gonna show you guys what's happening here. Okay, so is that I'm going to this one, I think. Okay, so for the blue safari, it's only one screw. Okay, so you take it, pop it out here, pop it out, and then you push this down. Take this off. Okay, and then put this in, and there you go. Bob's your uncle. Am I dyslexic? There we go. There. Okay, so that twist in so it's closed, and then tighten this, and you're good to go. Now, once it's tight, this is what I learned. Yeah, once it's tight, you just go 1/4. That's it. Don't over tighten it. Alrighty. Just curious, do you need passports when you fish? You also required to get fishing license in the UAE? No, but what you need to do is before you go, you submit your Emirates ID to the Coast Guard, and then from Coast Guard, what is up with you guys and my hair? So that's it, right? With the Z Japan, it is that fast and it is that easy, right? Um, so I'm gonna do some chores. Okay, the very first thing is I'm gonna check all the reels that I'm taking and seeing if the leader is actually good or not. Okay, and we'll do that. Okay, I'm just gonna return this. So I think I've spooled both of them with PE2. I'm not too sure with this one. Kind of tempted to actually pick if this is 1.5, which I'm thinking it is. You know, hold on. UAE? No, it doesn't have fresh water. The only fresh water we have is actually in bottles for drinking. Nope, none. There are reservoirs, but there's no fish there. In the East Coast, yeah, there's a couple there. I've been there and I've tried, but no. There's one that they actually use as a tourist attraction. They have kayaks there and koi and tilapia, but you're not allowed to fish. Uh, okay, so Studio Ocean. So I mean, this is how dyslexic I am, guys. Okay, uh, I'm gonna share. Okay, so I am looking at uh, um, because I always like doing things standard, right? So here, okay, so 1.5. All right, so uh, one is PE2. So this is 300 and this one 600. So I have these two, right? Um, which means I'm gonna have to switch because I remember now because there are no rivers or streams. There's what they call the creek, but what it is actually salt water here in Dubai, like the Dubai Creek, but it's not really like a creek. It's more like an estuary. Alrighty, so um, the Blue Safari Z Japan is actually new. It's it was sent to me earlier this year, and I have not used it. And this one is the old one, which I have used several times, and I used it in the Gulf. So uh, what I will do is actually change. I will take uh, Michael. Uh, I don't have Megabass travel rods, and no, I don't sell stuff. Um, the ones that I showed on a video were actually Major Craft, and you can get them in Amazon Japan. I think in the video I actually shared a link. Okay, so take that. See, guys, this is how easy it is to do these things, right? So you take this, that, put it here. Right, so the mistake I did was to actually not move it around like that. Okay, so this is 1.5. It will be for, wait, no, I have it right. So I'm going to use this for slow jigging. So I want it 1.5, and I'm going to use that for fast jigging. And I went, my bad. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, I'm dyslexic, you know. Um, like earlier, I'm not, okay, I'm not going to lie. I'm actually excited. Okay, so this is how I am when I'm excited, scatterbrain. But normally I'm more composed. But see, I confused myself because this is what I will use for the red one, which I will use for slow jigging. Okay, and then this one is thicker. This is, god damn it, shit. Fuck. Okay, this is 1.5. This other one is actually 2. That's why I needed to switch. God, dumb. Uh, how do you set up the strike lever drag to suit your braid and each fishing trip? You set them by the weight. I don't want to talk about drags because people have their own ways of setting drags and stuff. But if you want, there are a lot of videos that talk about the drags. But what you do is set them according to, well, a lot of people say preference. Okay, so there we go. Now we have PE2 on this one, which I will use for fast jigging. That's done. Okay, and that one is 1.5, which is what I will use for slow jigging in the deep. And this is 300 meters of 1.5, and that is 300 meters of PE2. I'm gonna have to ask SOM to send me like spools for 600, and what I have, like I need one of these and another silver, two silvers, so that I have for both. So that's gonna go on the list. I'm gonna ask for a few other things actually. Um, I'm gonna get that in a couple of months or so. All right. Uh, look at these fisherman travel rods. I think the dude who makes them is from Hokkaido. Uh, Fishman is not from Hokkaido, but Fishman is mostly what do you call this? Bait cast. You know, so if you're after bait casters, that's a good brand to have. But I don't know if they make spinning, but they have like four piece travel rods. They're actually pretty good. Okay, so that's it. Now I'm not confused. Okay, so uh, you see the confusion, right? There's a black spool and then there's a gold spool, and this matches this because I was using the 1.5 um, on this while I was fishing here in the Gulf, and that's the right way, right? So now I'm using 1.5 to fish in deeper water, and we'll be fishing like 150 meters plus around there. I love good quality gear and don't mind paying for it. Yeah, I mean, Michael, but Megabass is not that good. There's a lot of better brands out there than Megabass. Mm, yeah, look at Yamaga. Yamaga is like 50 times better than Megabass. Yamaga blanks. And depending on the rod that you want, but they have like travel rods as well. Okay, so now we have these set up. And then this is already set up. I know that. So uh, I can just set this aside. The rod is already uh, is ready as well. So for this one, nothing to see there. Uh, okay, so the next thing we have to do is actually look at Yamaga. Ay, sorry, Yamaga blanks. There we go. Yeah, so Yamaga blanks. That's like way better. Uh, I think SOM tools might be more valuable and useful than the reels, but that's not saying the reels are not worth every bit of their money. The tools are alright. I mean, I have all of them. like, like, uh, I have the what do you call this? I mean, look, it's already fading. The red, it used to be so red, like this. It's like this. It's already fading. It was like this actually. Here we go. See, so I have these, and then there's more actually. Uh, to tell you honestly, no. You know, the thing is, Roxo, when you have like SOM stuff, you stop looking. That's I mean, okay. Like this example, yeah. So when you grip, right? When you grip the hook, this actually turns, right? And it helps. It helps not to damage the hook. So when you're most of the removers, when you try to remove the hook, they break the hook. Okay, so it grips the hook, takes it out, bang, done. Okay, and this is coming with me tomorrow actually, because this is very useful, especially for the tuna. And most of the time we only fish with like one hook. So boom, and then boop. Ever play around with their pro models? Oh, of course I have them. I gave them away. This is better. I gave them to my cousin, but like all the tools, they sent them to me, like all of them, you know. So and if I need something that I don't have, I'll just tell them, you know, and then they'll send stuff over. Tuna fishing tomorrow, yes. For there's what's running now is longtail and small yellowfin. Why are the non-pro models better? Okay, so basically the pro models, they take some components off because you know, they break. Let's say the risk of breaking is higher, but the non-pro models have what do you call this? Have features that make them better. That's exactly what I have explained here. So take for example, the pro model doesn't have this part right here that actually cushions when you turn. Okay, so basically, uh, look at Nice Day. He's here again. Oh my God, it's the usual fucking suspects. Oh God, you know, I love our community, man. I really love our community. It's so cool, you know. Um, anyway, so you know, when once you grip it, okay, once you grip it, it actually kind of makes the. It's not this the hook. It needs to be a hook, but basically there's a cushioning effect. Whereas with the pro model, it just pegs it. You know, so the chances of you breaking the hook on a pro model is higher. I asked them this, right? I asked literally, I asked the president. I was like, so why is it that the pro model is like that, and then um, why is it that the consumer version is this, and which one's better? And then he goes for toughness, the pro is better, and then for what do you call this? For professionals, obviously the professional version is better, and then for consumers, the consumer version. The problem is the consumer version is a better version, right? So even he admits, even the founder of SOM actually thinks that, or says that the consumer version is better. But why is there a need for the pro model, right? And he goes, well, um, if you're a professional, you're supposed to know what to do so that the hooks don't break. I was like, yeah, shit, fair point, man. Right? So the professionals, when they take off the hooks, they should know where to place the hook. That's A. And B, the amount of pressure to just take off the hook. Okay. And there's an angle, the right angle for you to take off the hooks. And it just makes the whole process easier. He says the professionals know that. They're in the water every day, guides, you know, and all this. So when you're buying, right, the pro model is actually kind of, and they don't explain this. Unfortunately, they don't explain this, and that's why, you know, it's up to me to actually tell you guys that. But the pro model lacks one part. There we go. But to use it, it's supposed to be that as a professional, they would know because it's like professional tools, you know. And then I was like, okay. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Tell them that their impression is that for pro models it's better, right? Uh, so yeah, but that's the story. Morning glory. Shit. All right. So leaders, forgot. Uh, okay, that has a leader. That's fine. PE2, right? Okay, the 1.5 should have like a 10 liter, but my God, that's gonna be interesting tomorrow. Uh, this one has a leader as well. Good. All right. So normally, what I do is after a fishing trip, I would put leaders on them. But so I'm checking now just for the sake of checking. But I'm not really. What do you call this? Uh, okay, checking the leader. Okay, yeah, that's good. Not being lazy here, guys. Already. And look at the leader I'm using. It's long, but it's thin. So um, this is 40 or 50 pound, and for the smaller tuna tomorrow, this is more than enough. Actually, if I scale down from 50 to 40, you'll get significantly more bites. Uh, they often wonder how I can get more bites. Yes, Fujera, Keen. Uh, we use this style dehooker. Pops the hook out easy and safely. The Yamaga early for surf rods, decent shore jigging rods. They're actually pretty good. I have a few here. So I think these are all earlies, and then there's a couple more. But early plus is actually pretty good. Um, Obviously, the ballistics are better, but early plus entry level, they are probably better than like I don't know, about 70% of the rods that you find outside. That include like stuff like major craft and stuff like that. The early pluses are actually sea bass rods. They're not pure shore jigging rods, but um, a lot of people think that for shore jigging it's shore jigging, and then that's all it is. But um, shore jigging for shore jigging rods are nothing but um, long plugging rods. Okay, so it's actually not shore jigging; it's shore plugging. Okay, they just happen to be really good rods for that purpose. Now, sea bass rods are kind of all around. Okay, so you can do you ever sell gear from time to time, Michael? But not really. You know, um, I'm thinking of actually unloading. But I have to organize first before I actually think about unloading. But uh, uh, you know what? I have a lot that I don't use, and since uh, I'm limited to a few brands that I could use, then there are some brands that I'm willing to let go. You know what I mean? Hard or soft leader for jigging and casting respectively. Um, for jigging, I like hard mono. Okay, and then for casting, I like soft. Um, so for suffix, I use suffix superior. For I much if I'm forced to, I use the thicker, shorter sections for fluorocarbon. Um, I know U40 seems like the only dedicated product to what? What's that? Michael. Yeah, I guess. But I mean, don't hold your breath because I really don't have a habit of selling. But we'll see. Can you repeat that? My com lagged for a while. So for my jigging, I like using hard mono because um, it's still a bit more flexible than fluorocarbon. Okay, and hard mono obviously will stand more nicks. Um, it will stand more nicks from rocks and stuff like that. Now for casting, I like using Zippy, which is a soft mono, because it gives more movement to the lures. And I don't have to worry so much about abrasion resistance. It's mostly just the mouth and sometimes the fin and stuff. um, I like using for all floating lures and surface lures. I like using soft mono, and that's kind of like 80% of my fishing. I only use fluorocarbon for jigging when the fishing's really tough, and normally I use a short section, not a long section, because most of my leaders are quite long. Okay. um, and then for fluorocarbon, I prefer them when shorter and the thicker. So the thicker, what do you call this, diameter. So like, take for example, if I need to use 100 pound, I will typically use a shorter section, and it will be uh, fluorocarbon. But that's it. I don't like using fluorocarbon that much. I hope that's clear. But for all casting purposes, 90%, I would 80 to 90% of my use would be like soft mono. Um, yeah, you use shock leader for big game only, or it can be used for like different types of fishing, of course. Shore jigging, typically the transition leader makes it easier to cast. Normally, when you cast without a transition leader, it slaps, but with the transition leader, it's really good. So you can use it for small game as well. Obviously, everything needs to scale down as well. By the way, nice to see you around. Nice to see you here. You know, you're like one of the guys that actually first joined the what do you call this, Rashid? The If I remember correctly, when I started streaming, right? Um, that's understandable and hope my dear. Have you had the opportunity to try out the Shimano Tranx B300? Yes. In the prototype stage, yes, because I used to work with Shimano, right? So they gave me a Tranx 300 to play around with. Tranx is actually a Trini. They're Trinidads, essentially also like what thoriums, right? So Trinidad thorium is a watered down Trinidad. So basically, a Tranx 300 is kind of like a 16 thorium, but the body is basically a bait caster. So the insides exactly a thorium. You can take out the parts of a thorium and put it there. Um, Pretty good. It's just you know, given a chance to actually have that, I chose the Abu Garcia more than the Thorium, because the Abu, uh, big shooter. Okay, so it's the JDM version. Okay, let me see if I can get it. Uh, sorry, Mike. It's buried deep. I think it's in the other carton too. But if you look, it is the Abu Garcia. Hold on, let me type it in for you because it's a mouthful. Um, Actually, let me find the link. Abu Garcia, big shooter WM60. Mm, so here's one from eBay, I guess. Fudge, it's kind of long. But anyway, let me just type so you can look for it. Uh, okay, so that's the Abu Garcia big shooter WM60. Okay, so there's also one that's compact, but the WM60 holds a lot of freaking line. Okay, so I have PE3 on that thing, and I use that for shore jigging. Before the well, even now, actually, it's crazy good. It's crazy good, and it's so difficult to actually say that a Shimano reel is outdone, but it's outdone. So freaking good. And guess what? Until this day, it has remained stock. And it's that for me that is very very difficult to do, because one of the very first thing I do, or one of the very first things I do when I get a reel, is literally change the spool bearings to ceramics. So um, and that reel has surprised me, man. It's like I didn't modify it or anything. It casts out really really well. So between the Tranx 300 and the big shooter, no brainer for me. We actually returned the, what do you call this, the Tranx. But actually, no, what, I shouldn't have, huh? Because they literally gave it to me. I just said like I didn't like it. And this is the sickness of Shimano. Like take for example, a very good casting platform. Okay, I have to say would be the Torium, and man, I can cast that thing a mile. Like holy shit! I have a video on Instagram. Hold on, I'm gonna share that. But I have a video on Instagram of me, like big swing on like the what do you call this? Big swing on the there. So that's a thorium. That's a thorium. You guys are freaking talking. This is so cool. You're actually chatting amongst yourself. That's cool. Beeswax comes in dark and light hues, non-toxic, smells great, and you can smear it on basically everything and not worry about a mess. That's right, beeswax. Like the light one, actually used for fly tying, and it's actually very soft. And the kind of depends. Tulala rods. Oh, of course, yeah. Before their launch, I actually met the guys behind Tulala. Um, I know who makes them, basically. So yeah, um, I was responsible for taking them here to the UAE. Uh, the Tulala and Hot and Bogey, they're related. And what do you call this? Fishing gang, Azusa fishing rods, they're all related. Mm, do all tracks have interchangeable parts with the thorium, or just the original 500 size? That's a thorium surface, yes. Basically, they it started from there, but it has evolved. I wouldn't mess around with them, but the basic design is basically thorium, and then they put the, what do you call this, they put the low profile. So there are some, and Shimano generally, Michael, Shimano uses the same parts for a lot of reels. They just have like a different code so that it gets identified to a certain reel. But if you actually get into the habit of fixing Shimano parts, you'll see that there are a lot of interchangeable parts. It's just literally Tulala is actually pretty good, but it's mostly freshwater stuff. They specialize in like um, so the blanks are optimized for like Oman and stuff like that. At least at the time when I met them, the Osaka fishing show. The pretty cool part about their display in one of the Osaka fishing shows is that they actually have like a K truck inside, and then they modified it for like a fishing car, and that was their display. That was pretty cool. I think they were what, like one of the companies that were pretty cool. I think the biggest draw was Bossless. But that's an entirely different story because they had transvestites there. That's- they had like a DJ booth and trannies, cross dressers. I mean, like, and the sheer number of old men having their pictures taken with these transsexuals, cross dressers, it's staggering. It was like a huge ass line. It was crazy. Oh my God, the Japanese, man. Oh God, I will never forget that. I will never ever forget that. Geez, that was funny. Okay, so uh, I am still curious about Takami Techno's low pitch jigging rods. Okay, your usual. We're doing a bit of research, including ChatGPT, and the response you get is only solid blanks and not tubular. No, they have tubular. ChatGPT doesn't know shit. ChatGPT just gets whatever's like easy to find. Um, they're not bad. A lot of people actually use Takami Technos. It's just that I don't. I have friends who use them exclusively and they swear by it, and that's all in good. But anything that's solid will not be as sensitive. Soldum, you know, is micropliers. Majority of the market for Studio Ocean Mark is big game. So there's kind of no reason to actually go into like small stuff. Okay. There is like the micro hook remover, but it's more of like an experiment. And also, uh, it was a demand for the trout market, and the trout market is like a top end market, and like they're not cheap. The problem is they're not cheap. So, if they go into something, it needs to be something, on the top end. Ever heard of Mukai? Mukai the guy? Mukai-san? Osaka Fishing Show open to the public or is it only commercial? The first day is dealer's day. Then the next 2 days are actually, what do you call this? Uh, Open to the public. Lures and flyers, no. No. But I met the Mukai guy, quite famous. Actually, I have the micro hook remover. Yeah. Micro hook remover, I mean, it's nice. I have it too. It's one of the, I mean, they sent me a huge batch of stuff. We use it for toothy fish here in Brazil. Also for udging, catch a lot of blowfish. Yeah. I mean, the small one, where is it actually? Hold on. All right. So they know what we're talking about, right? So, this is like the, what do you call this? The small one, small hook remover. And tiny, compared to like the medium sized one that I have, right? So it's very small, but quite nice. I mean, very convenient for udging and stuff like that. Uh, so I have this too. But yeah, I mean, you know, uh, for udging and stuff. But guys, look, it's too much. If you're buying and you can afford it, good. But are you gonna spend like a couple $100 for a hook remover? small fish. That's, but for trout in Japan, it's a very different story because it's a top end market and all. Like guys, I'm a professional for Studio Ocean Mark. Okay, um, you know, I'm like in their, what do you call this? I'm like, I act like their English. What do you call this? English, the division, right? So if ever they want to have a customer talk to me, especially B2C, then I can speak for them and stuff like that. But I always say, right, even people who want to get into, like, all these Studio Ocean Mark reels and stuff, I all especially if they don't have experience, I always tell them, like, buy a Shimano or a Daiwa first, you know, and then move on to a Studio Ocean Mark if you find, you know, um, if you find the reel that you're using, either Daiwa or Shimano, lacks something. Okay, and I had this conversation with the president, right? And then I told him, like, that's my standard answer, and that's always what I tell people. And then he goes, okay, why? I go, well, for people that don't know what they're doing, if they actually break the reel, Daiwa or Shimano, it's perfectly fine because they didn't break a Studio Ocean Mark, right? And every every sort of uh, impression, or good or bad, is going to be attributed to that reel. Because a lot of people don't blame themselves if something goes wrong. Okay, but if they make all their mistakes on Daiwa and Shimano first, and they're looking for something better, they go to Studio Ocean Mark, and by the time they actually upgrade to Studio Ocean Mark, they know what they're doing already. Done. I heard Jackson was an American dude. So, yeah, that's right, Jackson. And the song, Miss Jackson. Sorry, Miss Jackson. I saw your video about the guy who runs the fly shop from North Carolina. Good stuff. I heard Japan has a type of fly fishing without any targeting IU. No, it's a different. IUing is a different type of fishing. They use an IU itself as bait. So they buy a live IU and use that for bait. Totally different, and that thing is expensive, like $15,000 for birding. I've seen it. Uh, what you're talking about is tenkara. So the tenkara is a form of fly fishing from Japan that uses a pole and then without a reel, and basically you just go like this. I was actually supposed to do that in salt water. Um, I'm not getting my hand close to that big. Yeah, Flavio, I've seen that happen too, and my dad was actually bitten by a puffer once. Uh, Upgrade from Shimano Daiwa, really? Wow. Yeah, I mean, a Studio Ocean Mark is a Ferrari. Daiwa and Shimano are like Camrys. That's the long and short of it. I'm really surprised these high-end reels don't use Torx head instead of slotted screws. Where drivers slip and scratch your reel. Um, One of the reasons is actually the ease of finding a tool. Okay, so in a pinch, somewhere, because these reels are designed so that you can take them elsewhere, right? So, like, take for example, if you're going out somewhere remote, it is far easier to find a flathead screwdriver than any other type of screwdriver. That is what their study showed them. Okay. Also, when you're saying torques, remember that we have two metric systems, right? So if you are somewhere in the world where it's using something else, then yeah, it's it. What's your idea on the Terra and the Six? Terra is, it's a Marfix, man. You know, so depending on your, and Marfix is like the Avet of Japan, so it's a better version of it. So it's heavy. Uh, it's not bad. It's just that it's heavier than it needs to be. Um, I don't like how it looks. You know, um, the ergonomics, and it's big, so not for me. It's I have small hands, but as a reel and it how it functions, it's pretty good. Six, right? Yeah, uh, nice reel. I've held it, not used it. Okay, I've held them. Um, More like OSHA jigger bag, but also quite light. No, for real. JDM brand Jackson came from fisherman in USA named Jackson whose lure bought from Jimmy. I don't know, man. I mean, you know, I don't know the origin of. Actually, I use very little. I only have like what the Inpale. That's it from them. So other than that, there's nothing that I'm kind of interested in. Jackson, Shannon, Ocean Gate. I have no idea. Like I stick with brands that make rods for rods. I stick with brands that make reels for reels. Can the Studio Ocean for fishing? I've used these the blue safari for inshore fishing, and but you can't cast them. They're jigging reels, purely jigging reels. That's it. But that's it. There's remember that there's three types, right? There's the casting, there's the both are Blue Heaven, the casting version and the jigging version, and then the Blue Safari. Very specialized, so they don't have something like the L75, the big casting one that I showed earlier. It's for GT and tuna only. So they're not really something that what do you call this, Michael? By the way, if you're interested in buying stuff, there's a shop here in Dubai that's full of JDM stuff. I can hook you up with them. I can send me a message on Instagram, and then I can send you their WhatsApp number, and then you can talk to them. We're waiting on their website, but if you're looking for stuff, 90% of my stuff is actually from them. um, the Jackson stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's the same question with like. I'll tell you guys this, and this is the God honest truth, man. Um, like fishing line, okay? There's a reason why I don't use Varivas, and a friend of mine is a pro for Varivas, and he swears by them. He's sponsored by Varivas, okay, Japanese, but I would never touch the stuff. He gave me like a lot, you know. Um, but I don't touch the stuff because they don't have a factory. Flavio, oh dude, look for a napalm. You know, Native Works napalm. They're not cheap, man. They are not cheap, but napalm, Native Works napalm. They're not great looking lures only. They fucking work, dude. It is that there's a Sagoshi version. The Jackson Pintail. Um, I think it's one of the best lures for mackerel. Like if you're in Florida and you're fishing for kingfish, like one of those, or the Soran heavy minnow. If you can find this, okay, there's a big version of this. Okay, probably not this color, but um, right, but this one right here, that's a good color. Okay, that's a Soran heavy minnow, and the big one is 40 grams. This is 25, I believe. 25 grams. So about 1 ounce, this one. Like check that out, okay? 1 ounce. And then obviously the other one is like almost 2 ounces, and it can cast a mile. But these lures are so freaking good. Tail walk. I have a love hate relationship with tail walk. So some are okay. There's actually two lines of tail walk. There's the ones that are purely JDM, that made in Japan, and then there's some products that are actually made in China. They're all right, not bad. Coincidentally, they're also a dealer for Studio Ocean Mark. Uh, why do the Yamaga Blue Sniper rods have different weight ranges for plugs and jigs? Is that because you're working them differently? Basically, with the rods, they have not only a load capacity for weight, but also for shape. So a plug actually has a lot more resistance when it's traveling through the air. The biggest thing there is when you're casting. Okay, so with a heavy plug or a heavier plug, let's say, the wind resistance that that it produces when you're casting is a lot greater than the weight. It's because of the shape. Whereas with jigs it's pretty straightforward. It's just raw weight, and then when you cast out, the wind resistance is like less. Red snapper fishing. What's this? Okay, so I was very disappointed in the brand. What brand? Let's see. Which brand are you disappointed with, Michael? Red snapper fishing, and I was using 61-pound bait line and kept breaking off. I reached out to them to see if it was user error and was willing to hear them out, but no response. Ah, you mean Varivas? Varivas, yeah. Okay, so Varivas, um, they don't have their own factory. Okay, they don't have their own factory. So as far as like I would say, man, I don't like knocking brands, but if you don't have your own factory, you don't have in factory quality control. Meaning, before it gets released from the factory itself, they have to test it out, do random sampling and everything. Yeah. So they are a brand. Okay, the name of the brand is actually Morris, but they renamed everything to Varivas. So basically, because they don't have the quality control in the factory level. So a lot of things get slip. And remember, in a previous stream, I actually mentioned that I spoke with someone who's like into buying top end gear. This was like years and years and years ago, right? And this kind of started for me, this way of thinking that I only buy rods from rod makers, and this and that, because he said that the reason why he's spending on top end gear is because of the reliability. So like a Stella is a very reliable reel, fucking hell of a lot. What do you call this? Hell of a lot more reliable than a say a BG, right? Um, Also lighter, like easier to use, just way better. Okay, no argument there. Um, if you're using something like this, you're more at ease, right? And think that you don't have to think that something might go wrong, because this is him and his name is Samat. Okay, very very, it's an OG fisher. He basically said that you only have one chance for your fish of a lifetime. Okay, you only have one chance for the fish of your lifetime, and if you do not use the right gear or don't spend for the more reliable equipment, you're never gonna see that fish. And guess what? That's the one that got away. After that, my perspective changed. So I was buying mid-end gear like pens and stuff like that because I was telling him like, dude, why are you spending so much on this? I'm catching more than you. I'm catching bigger fish than you and stuff like that. Um, and then that was that. You know, at the end of the day, um, he was right. You only have a shot at your fish of a lifetime once. And if you are not using the right gear that would actually catch that sucker, it's going to be the one that got away. So your choice. Poor quality control and ain't cheap. Yeah, that's why. So like only buy line from like companies that I know have a factory. Like take for example Momoy. You know, uh, I used to work for Suffix, and guess what? Suffix has a very big uh, factory. So yeah, talking about tail walk, we've been catching some interesting fish and tie rubbers. Yeah, I mean tie rubber, man, it's almost like live bait. Lots of beard and yep. I have actually hooked amberjack on tie rubber and have caught tuna on them. I have a few jigging master jigs. They work really good. It's made in Japan. If you ever check. Jiggy master or jigging master? Jigging master is actually Taiwan, not Japan. I love the now this yeah. Uh, you can still get them, Flavio. Famous anglers use what they're paid for. If they have sponsors, yeah, but I mean, a lot of people actually use other brands behind the back, like when the cameras are off. You wouldn't fucking believe it. And then when they catch something, they just pose with the gear. That is a thing. I like the alien. The alien is like a cornerstone for like jigging master. I think it's one of the best jigs that they have. Um, For casting, I like OSHA 8X and I use Sunline. Yeah, Sunline actually has their own factory as well, and they have Sunline is the only only fishing line company that can make or has made. I wouldn't say that can make, but they have the only IGFA rated braid in the world. Japan, and I've seen very famous anglers using only varibus. Yes, yes, Rashid. I mean, people, um, and he's sponsored by Varibus, by the way. But I mean, I have friends who are sponsored by Varibus as well, like Kozo. Kozo is a very good friend, and he gave me some Varibus. I haven't spooled them. I mean, I used to use Varibus a lot. In the earlier days, I used to use Varibus a lot. But then I got hit by like bad batches, several times, and then after that I just like fuck that, man. you know so Momoy, these days I use Momoy, Suffix. you know so that's that. Does Dual Hardcore produce their own line? No, they don't have a factory for a line. They OEM. um, Actually, you know what? Fun fact, okay? Yuzuri Dual is kind of not like in the Japanese, what do you call this? In the Japanese uh, fishing tackle industry. Every time you mention them, people go like, it's kind of weird, but they have their own set of politics as well. The problem with U.S. market is non-conversion from imperial to metric. Oh, they have more than just that as a problem. A lot of Japanese fishermen using Berkeley Super Fireline. Yes, Super Fireline is actually kind of a standard for slow jigging. It's not only that it's thick, but the thicknesses that it has, uh, not the thicknesses, but how it's made. It's pretty smooth, not kinda, but it's very smooth. Um, but more than anything else, it's actually cheap. And for slow jigging, the right way is actually changing your line a lot. So very consistent diameters, because if you don't know, the diameter of braid actually goes like this. It depends on who makes them, how they're braided, and the material that they get. And Super Fireline is actually very consistent for its diameter. And the more 300 meters, there's going to be problems with quality. Okay, so like take for example, when you're actually talking to a factory and then you tell them that I want 600 meters or 1,000 meters spools, very few factories can guarantee that because of the fibers and how they're treated. So only a handful of factories can actually give you line that cannot be that doesn't have damage. This is the reason why braid like bulk is very expensive. I have found the common denominator for one concept is the diameter. Just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think it has helped. Uh, the Japanese go with diameter for fishing line. For anything stranded, actually, they have been using the go, which is uh, dates back to okay. So for anything stranded, that's why they have so much the consistency because they already have that as a standard. Now in the states, they use breaking string, right? So like take for example, 50 pound. 50 pound is a measure of force or weight, not diameter. So you end up with reels that have like 330 as opposed to like PE 300 meters. So kind of weird. Yeah, of course. Poppers for fly fishing, they're kind of difficult to cast, but yeah, I used to use them a lot and have caught a lot of Dorado on poppers. Not so much inshore, but offshore, tuna and Dorado, I've caught them with poppers. Uh, I don't know what you're talking about, Flavio. No idea. JDM specific line, yes, actually. Um, Rapinova. I have kind of suffix line do you use? Yeah, okay, so Rapinova. Um, the the suffix line I use, if you can I can show them. The factory actually made me a few spools. You know, the for specific lines from suffix that are specific for jigging is actually Korea, and the managing director there is a very good friend of mine, and the head of suffix before was like my boss. So basically, when I said like, okay, I'm gonna have to change out a lot of reels, what am I supposed to do? Buy these, and we have a factory. So let me show you guys. So so they made me like kilometers of line, man. You know, so I have like see 1.5 kilometers right there, and there's like a few of them. So you kind of like you look everywhere, you won't find those types of spools that are actually like being sold. Um, they gave me like a few boxes of those to use in the lines that I what do you call this? Took 3 months, but you know, no complaints. So I still use them now. So if you look, there's actually Pro 8 and what do you call this? Also, I don't use Xylon. Uh, what do you call this? 832. So it's a special like run of 832 because we were supposed to. Like at that point, 832 was the top. So what I had was actually a lower diameter than normal what they were selling in the States. So JDM specs for those, and they were like, yeah, you have to tell us exactly how much you want because when we run the machines, that's it. So like, it was like interesting time of what suffix. Okay, so that was answered. Have you noticed an increase in stem poppers recently? Flavio, like I showed you, I have no idea, but I have a box of this. Like this box right here, it's all like so. I have no idea, man. Um, Speaking of Korea, ever used the Volante spinning reel? No, Xylon can happen. Xylon, I don't use Xylon. Does 8 trees to stand for everything? Yeah, it's like 8 strand. I forget for something, man. Like I forget. I forget. What do you call this? I forget. I forget what it was, but it does something like 8 strand because it's 8 strand. Something something. I they taught us that. It's part of the orientation. I totally freaking forget what it was. Like 131 is actually like also right 131. It's 10 strand, and then I forget what the one was, what the three meant, but the one at the very end is actually the gore core, the gore fiber core. Something interesting. Fishermen have started doing that knot that replaces the solid drilling with Xylon. Okay, yeah, there's a trend for that, but I think it's a fad, man. Uh, know how does patent last with Shimano before 50 years, I believe, a patent. No, yeah, patent is like 50 years. But there are also limitations for the manufacturing. So it could be that you can be exclusive for a few years, uh, like 15 or something like that, and then after that you can license. You own it, but you can only license it out instead of actually monopolize. Um, because that's what happened with the Mirage Drive for Hobie. Uh, okay. Uh, when you load line on the reel, do you use a machine or hand wind it? Oh, machine. For here at home, I have the busted fishing system. So I have like the winder and then the tensioner and all that. But if I spool a lot, like reels, I just take it to like a professional place, and yeah. Doyo makes a lot of the reels. Like take for example, a lot of the Abu Garcia reels that you find are Doyo. Okay, the JDMs are actually Doyo, and some well they get exported to America, but Banax as a brand itself, there are some reels that are actually okay, you know, uh, but you choose. I mean, Korea, it's still better than China. I like their mono lines, especially the advanced, but I run either tops hot or straight mono to fish around rocks and reef. Yeah, the advanced, man, I have stories for advanced. So yeah, it's not. It's nice, I guess. I had boxes and boxes of advanced. Um, I think I had like 5 big boxes, like really big boxes, because they send like I ordered a lot, and I actually gave them away, and people loved them, loved using them, not for fish like rod fishing, but hand lines. So yeah, SRM has line winder, but over $1,000 last time I looked. Yeah, I don't use that, man. I mean, it's for me. Uh, nah, I'd rather use the busted. You know. What's the difference between Izanas and Spectra? Uh, Look, there's it's like this, okay? There's only two. There's only Spectra and Dyneema. Izanas is actually Dyneema, but they treated it with something else, okay? It's more of a treatment, but the patent on Spectra and the patent is only for Spectra and Dyneema, and between these two, it is just a difference of a few molecules. So Spectra is owned by I think Honeywell, and then Dyneema is owned by, geez, I mentioned this before. Uh, as a That's the raw Avian. This is Dutch. Yeah. So this and the protective material business. The previous owner is Royal DSM, right? So they sold it to Avian. So in my video talking about fishing line, I think this was before 2022. Um, yeah, said it was owned by the Dutch. Basically, these are just raw materials that they buy and then they process it and they come up with like a different what do you call this? Have you seen Sunline's Black Stream Fluoro? No. I have something else actually made by Momoy, but yeah, 16 carrier. The material is from Torre because they're the ones that are actually manufacturing the fiber cloth. So recently arrived in Brazil and has become really popular. No, man, I've not. I mean, I haven't been. Sunline isn't like one of my brands that I like. Um, it's a historical, but I found their line really coarse before, even the ones with the what do you call this with the coating. So I stopped using them. But I had a few reels spooled with Sunline before. And then I switched over to Varibas, and then from Varibas I switched over to Momoy. But this is like a donkey years ago, man. I think at that point my pubes were not curly yet. YGK, I use YGK. YGK, I believe, is the leader. Another company that has a their own what do you call this factory. YGK. I think they're top, like Sunline, because it's course for particles. I'd rather cut the line. Let me cut. Sorry. uh, know about Van Fook? Oh, of course I know Van Fook. Lots of sublime flavor coming out the basket. The bass fishing world is like the proving ground for a lot of things, because by nature, a lot of the bass fishermen have to look for an edge. So they do a lot of experimenting. I know a few professional bass fishermen, and they always ask, what man, any other brand that I can use, like the most obscure, remote brand that they can think of, that they can find, like in Japan or elsewhere, they would use it. But yeah, I mean, what can you do? A lot of our fishing evolved from bass fishing as well. So, you have so much unsure of how to begin asking questions. Just ask, Michael. I fish more than salt. Yeah. Um, I used to extensively fish freshwater as well. Um, but since moving here, fishing has been less diverse. Now, if you, I don't share them, but I've caught some nice fish in freshwater. I caught an arapaima on a fly. You know, that's one of the things that I've done. I've caught what largemouth bass. We have largemouth bass in the Philippines. They're actually quite easy. You know, I love fishing for a largemouth bass with lures because it's very cerebral. You know, so that seem to be unable to understand that other fishes and techniques exist. Yeah, I mean, just like also saltwater people that also have like different ways of thinking, Flavio. It's like people are people. That's just it. That's cool, Michael. You're very lucky. You know, um, I reside near a mangrove area here, but the mangrove area has recently been put on uh, like no fishing zone. So I moved here for that, and then now I can't go. It sucks. Oh god, it's like it sucks. The head of tourism for the state, so let's see if I can work out a deal or something. Maybe I could do like promotional videos for the state, or make like a documentary videos or film there, for their flamingo and wildlife, and do like catch and release fishing. But imagine having a skiff that's perfectly and like it's perfect for this sort of terrain, and you're not able to use it, so that sucks. All right. What else do I need to do? Lures, I believe. So that I have casting lures there. My assist hooks are there. I think I'm set. And then the rod, if there, the case is there. Um, I think I'm set. I just need to actually put everything together. So we leave at 11 a.m. Head straight out. The run. That's what I need. I need to check the batteries for the camera because you guys are coming with me, right? So uh, we're gonna do. Actually, also we're trying to sort out the Wi-Fi for the boat. Um, what do you call this? Starlink. So if Starlink becomes available, imagine live on the boat. That'd be so cool. Have you ever caught European sea bass? Believe it or not, it's messed up, but I have here one time. It was this small. It was weird. Um, I don't know how, but I mean, this place, you know, we have bluefish in Oman. Okay, and this is a fish that's not supposed to exist in this part of the world. But yeah, they're there, and I caught one sea bass like this big, and I know that they're good to eat, so I wanted to eat them. The closest that you could get, I think it's around Egypt or something. They're sea bass. Um, but yeah, I mean, either that or someone's farming it here, and it was an escapee. So basically, what it was a stormy day. Okay, it's one of those days that were kind of stormy and the water was weird and stuff. And then I saw some fish feeding, and I was trying to catch it. It was boiling and it was constantly boiling, but I was casting out and they weren't touching anything, not anything that we threw. And then I saw that they were feeding on fish that were kind of long. So I switched over to a small jig that was slim, and then bang, I got that hit, and then uh, yeah, okay, so Egypt. So I don't know. Egypt is not that far, I guess. So maybe I think someone's farming. Probably getting fish from Egypt, bringing it here, and then farming it. Because I see them in the supermarket. You know. So yeah, interestingly, having caught that one, and people did not believe. They were like bullshit. And I was like, dude, that's my sink right there. But yeah, they're very good to eat. But unfortunately, before I was even able to eat it, our nanny ate it, right? And then she said, like, "Hey, sir, it was pretty good." I was like, I wasn't going to eat that. Oh shit! Man, she made soup out of it. Oh man, I wanted to grill it and taste it. Right? It's like it's so different if you buy it, and then there's like something you caught. And imagine this. When I caught that, I was like, no way, no one's gonna believe me, and all that. So I wrapped it up and then separated, right? So I cleaned it up too, ikejima and everything. So when I got home, I put it in the refrigerator because I was thinking like, okay, I'm gonna age this. I'm gonna, eat it later on. Oh man, she made soup out of it, and she was the only one who ate it, right? So I was like, what the hell, dude? I was supposed to grill that thing and taste how it, tastes like fresh. It's different if you just buy it. And she said like, oh, I thought it was mullet. I was like, motherfucker. Ah, rock. 16 carrier braid ideal for top water. It's ideal for casting. So anything that is over 4 is good for casting because of the smoothness of the braid. Okay. Um, for top water specifically, you want floating line. Okay. So braid is good. What uh, did she make sinigang? No, tinola. Like we're from the Visayas, so we don't make sinigang. We make tinola. So yeah, fuck. Man. Imagine a sea bass, right? And it's so fucking rare. I would say that it's like the rarest fish that I've caught here. Um, only because it doesn't swim here. New Jersey. All right, Bob. New Jersey, the place where you could only do left, no, right turns, right? All right turns. What should I order for dinner? Pork. I haven't eaten pork for a long time because of my heart issue. Pork is always a good thing. Maybe you're the only one who catch that fish out. Nah, man. I look, like I said, lure walker. If they farm them, I'm pretty sure that other people have caught them too. It's just that this was recorded. I think I have her somewhere on Facebook too. You know, um, but it was so strange. It was just so strange. Yeah, pork belly bowl. Ooh, that's good, man. I haven't like I cook, guys. So I don't know. You guys tell me if you want to see some cooking videos. I'll do that for you guys. um, but I can cook, right? So, and I used to make all these fantastic dishes for the family. But ever since I had my heart issue, my pork intake has been cut down. So in very special occasions like Christmas and New Year and stuff like that, then I'll prepare pork and stuff. But I can't just cook pork and have it regularly. The cholesterol, I guess. Catch and cook. Um, well, make it work. Maybe tomorrow, tuna and stuff. So let's see. Sea bass recipe. Give me like 1 year and try to catch another one. Oh, by the way, you know what sucks? The place where I caught this fish, it got closed up. So that sucks. Because uh, I was really hoping to actually like down the line, maybe maybe they get bigger and stuff, but they built a palace around there, and then they ended up closing the whole thing. And then it was a fish port actually for local fishermen. And then they put like a military station. So that was it. After that, closed up. Is pork expensive in the UAE? No, not really, not really. But if you're looking for something specific like whole pork and stuff, it's gonna be kind of different. No, difficult to find. And if you find it, it's not really that good. So majority of the time, what I do um, is I look for a place that sells pork that have Filipino and then I talk to them. And then because you can ask them a favor, right? So especially if you really mean to buy that, so we make lechon, which is like whole piglet, usually in Christmas, Christmas Eve, Noche Buena. So um, I tell the guy or gal, that if you have something come in that's fresh, as like from fresh shipment, whole pig, whole piglet, you know, give me a heads up, I will buy for sure. And I've had relationships with these guys for a really long time because at first, obviously, they thought I was bullshitting, you know. And also, you can only cook like these very big portions of pork if you live in a villa. If you live in an apartment, don't do it. You can't even do barbecue, you know. So that's what makes it difficult. It's not like the cost of pork, but more often than not, it's the cooking bit. But again, it depends on the cooking. Uh, Recipe might be good for community posts. Shoot, that's a good point, huh? Uh, Fishing from shore is going to an end. Here, it's becoming more difficult year by year to actually find, like, you know. Isaiah, believe it or not, the only the only thing I would say, okay, uh, Filipino, like pork belly, you make like a lechon roll. It's very difficult to beat that. Okay, especially if it comes from my hometown, which is Cebu. Okay, um, if you look, the guy who passed away, Anthony Bourdain, okay, chef Anthony Bourdain, he killed himself. But that guy went to Cebu, had our lechon, and literally said this is the best in the world. And you know what? If I go home to Cebu, I don't care if I have heart issues and shit. I will eat lechon. But the problem is that's actually what we prepare Christmas and New Year. Okay, and I know how to make Cebuano style lechon. Uh, so yeah, it's hard to beat, man. I also know how to do Chinese style pork belly. Um, you need a torch for that, because they torch it. Kind of a different process, but I will take lechon any day. Um, I actually learned how to do this in Hong Kong, the Chinese style. You could actually, like, salted, and then you put it in an oven. That's good. The problem with the Chinese style is that um, they cook it in an electric oven. Okay, whereas the Filipino style, you cook it in coals. And I think if you have a way to cook the Chinese style in coals like they do in the old days, it's also pretty good. And it'll turn out kind of similar actually if you did that. But yeah, Filipino style lechon belly. Uh, I fed this to Japanese guys, my friends, right? And uh, lechon, you're eating the wrong lechon, because lechon, the the skin, it's like glass if you do it right, and when you eat it, it literally it cracks. So it's like glass, man, like candied glass. Holy shit! Like every single Japanese guy that I had eat lechon, you know what they say? Holy shit! It's so good. And they only go back to the Philippines to eat lechon. So that's it. My wife is Filipino and make good food. Yeah, there's some. I mean, we have uh, mix of Spanish, Chinese, and Malay cuisine. So there's a lot of, and it's some of them are quite simple, some are quite complex, and all that. I think it's being recognized slowly around the world. You know, uh, but yeah, I mean, look, there's only a handful of Filipino dishes that I know how to cook, and that is it. Let me cook everything else, just not Filipino food. There's only lechon. Uh, I don't know how to make pancit. Like adobo, of course, I know adobo. Humba, I know that. That's pretty much it. Like the others, I can't. Let me cook something else, not Filipino food. That's radiant heat from coals is better for making a crust, which is why I prefer wood prefer coal over gas and briquettes. Isaiah, yeah, I agree. I mean, I love cooking with coals, and I hate gas. But wood, like one of my treasured possessions, however, I mean, that's why Asians don't use lures with silent assassin from Shaman. I don't know, man. Like everyone I know who's Asian actually love everything Shimano. So I don't know in your part of the world why they're like that, but maybe cost, But I mean, strictly speaking, Shimano doesn't really have that many like good lures. They've only came up with like better lures with the Flash Boost series. Everything that they've done before the Flash Boost era, even actually even a lot of what they're doing now, it's like, I mean, Shimano is a real company. They have very good, decent rods, but lures, nah. Yeah. I mean, there's some jigs, like take for example that are some jigs that are outstanding, like take for example the pebble stick. Okay, that I tip my hat to. It's a good lure. Okay, but all others, like their plugs and stuff, they're kind of not special. Even with the flash boost, even with the flash boost, I mean, it's kind of like just another iteration of something that's already in the market. It's very hard to innovate, actually. You know, like take for example, uh, there's a lure that I mentioned earlier that napalm. Okay, so that is the Native Works napalm, and that like the really good ones you don't actually see in store. You'll see them in auction, and they can sell for as much as $600. But the Native Works napalm is, I believe, the first diving popper in the world, and all others just copied it. Okay, um, it is still the best, I would believe, um, popper. Sorry, diving popper in the world. I honestly believe it still is, and there are a lot of people that copied it. There's actually a brand, Flavio, from Brazil. I forget which one, but they make decent ones. Um, but that's something that's very innovative and outstanding, and it's very hard to replicate something like that. You know, not fish us, but there's like a brand, last name. It's a last name of a guy. You know, another good innovator for lures is actually, and they changed everything. Yeah, and they become one of the most copied. Italian. Shit. Shit, man. I mean, I use them. I just. Uh, 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 shit. I have it in the tip of my mouth. Uh, Jackfin. There we go. Jackfin. So Jackfin has become like one of the most copied brands. But no, Reales is Japanese, man, not Italian. The Jackfin lures have become one of the uh, most copied, and they make good lures. Okay, but Shimano hasn't reached that kind of level of innovation. You know what I mean when it comes to like the lures. It's also hard to like the like, okay, for poppers it's like hammerhead. Okay, um, Shimano can't reach that kind of level. You have I have a $400 lure here. So CB1 Ryan, yeah, this thing's expensive. I got this as a gift from CB1, but something like this, right? It's so hard for Shimano to actually get to this kind of level. It's even companies like Sea Falcon. Okay, they have like really good looking stick baits as well. Shimano can't reach that level because it is like handmade, you know. And Shimano can only do stuff like, take for example, in the same level as Rapala, where they make plastic lures, right? So they're in that level as far as the innovation and all that. They're in the level the same as Rapala, so in the same level as this, okay, but not in the same level as like handcrafted poppers, stick bait. So it's very difficult to actually, get to that level. Binchotan charcoal. Um, Binchotan is expensive. I've used them before, and I can get a steady supply here because I know um, a few Japanese shops and restaurants, and I know the yeah, unless I'm making yakitori, and I shiro yakitori. It's pretty good. Um, Walking catfish pantat, yeah. I mean that's like the legacy from my dad's hometown, and he used to farm them. You know, we used to have like this pond full of them, and I've caught them with lures. Imagine that, like walking catfish on lures. My dad hated me for it because he said that I was blinding them, so we were eating them unnecessarily. Yes, but they were big, man. Holy crap, they were big, like 4 kilos and stuff. But the best size is actually like about 1.5 feet, right? And then when they skewer it, they actually bend it like that, and that's how you grill it. And the funny thing is, when you catch them and you clean them, right? Before you take out the gills and everything, you kill it first, and then they um, they take it to where the wood burning stove is, and that's where they clean it because they use the ash. They put the ash on the body and then they're just grilled, plain grilled. It's my dad's favorite. So panpat, yeah, done, been there, done that. Got the T-shirt. Don't really like it. I haven't had any catfish from America that taste half as good. You know what? That's actually what they said too. Pantat. But there's two types, yeah. There's a Taiwanese, and then there's native, the Philippine native. The Philippine native is so freaking expensive, man. You know, the ones that get really big are like the Taiwan. We call them Taiwan. The the regular catfish. Oh, they have spines, by the way, yeah. So you can't just grab them. But I used to. So there's spines here, but the Philippine catfish doesn't have the spine here. It's just here. So the ones here, not at the back. The Taiwan has the spine at the back, and those things are poisonous, but they're yummy. But yeah, yeah, man. Of course, I've tried them. They go together with the climbing perch. So a walking catfish and a climbing perch. Imagine the climbing perch was discovered in the Philippines, but then this was in the 1800s. Someone actually walked around and saw that it was halfway up a coconut tree, and damn thing's a fish. Imagine a fish climbing up a tree. That's why the name climbing perch. So fishing for these, okay, pantat or catfish, and the climbing perch. My dad was an absolute legend. He can catch these things in the thousands if you just leave him. So there was a part of our lives, a part of our fishing lives in Cebu, where we fished exclusively freshwater, and most of the time I was after snakeheads, and I was fishing. I was using bass fish snakeheads. because I couldn't find information on how to catch snakeheads, but I could get magazines for bass fishing. That's literally how I learned how to fish for bass, fishing for snakehead, which is kind of weird. But I used spinner baits, spoons, a bit of like crankbaits and stuff like that, and I used to catch these snakeheads. And these are the smaller native chevron snakeheads that we have in the Philippines. And then, as a bycatch, when we're fishing for climbing perch, we would catch the native cats. Yeah, I mean, it's in the states, man. There's a lot of types of catfish, and they get big. And guess what? Some of the biggest fish I've ever caught in my life are actually catfish, and they are the catfish in Thailand. You know, guys, my wife is convincing me to actually go to Thailand next month, spend 5 days there, and go fishing and make content. So I don't know if I'm gonna take her up on that offer because she has like a vacation days, and she's going to the U.S. spending like some time with her sister, and then when she comes back, she told me, "Why don't you go to Thailand, fish there for 5 days, and she'll stay here for 5 days so that at least she's here and while I'm out, so if she could take our daughter to school and all that." So I don't know if I'm gonna do it or not, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. It's gonna cost money and kind of tight these days. I take back what I said. Saltwater cat is actually pretty good. Isaiah, no. I mean, they're slimy as hell, man. And people say it's trash, but I bet half of those guys have never actually tried it and just repeated what they heard. I've tried them. They're too fishy for me. Um, the ones that we have here, interestingly, actually grow really big. I love catching them, especially on a surf rod. Okay, like that's literally what I target when I go fishing. Um, the saltwater, what we have here is the giant saltwater catfish. They're big. They're silver. They get up to like 50 kilos. Normally you catch them like 7, 6 kilos. They're really freaking strong, man, and there's so much fun, you know. Um, but they're getting rarer and rarer. Before, I used to go out at night, fish for them, and then readily catch them. And the, the smallest one you could get would be like as big as your leg, you know. But now, I don't know. They're getting harder and harder to catch. Um, we'll see in the winter time because there's some rocks here that actually had them, and before I used to catch them there. So let's see if they're still around, and maybe I can fish for them. Um, but yeah, I mean they're good. Like good fighting fish actually do that. But what do you call this? Eating them, I probably wouldn't. I mean, um, when we used to catch them on the boat, because these fuckers actually eat jigs. So when we used to hook them on the boat before, they're not welcome on the boat. We take what do you call this? Hook removers. Take the fish out of the out in the water and not get them in the boat. But they fight really well, and we call them amber cats because they fight like amberjacks. But these guys are the giant saltwater catfish, yeah. So they grow up like really big, up to 50 kg. They throw them up on the shore. Some people say they taste great. Yeah, I mean there are some catfish that taste really good. It's just that I've tried this, and they're really really fishy. I've caught them from jigs on the beach. Yeah, they eat jigs, man. Like the ones that we have here. Again, we call them amber cats. I mean, imagine shore jigging, and this fucker just bites and it doesn't stop. In fact, I have a friend who has a really good picture of him getting hooked up on an amber cat, and it's like his from time to time he actually comes around. My fishing buddy, his name's Kelvin. Um, I've eaten them from Texas, Galveston. I honestly think if you find someone who knows how to cook them, they should be very good because the Indian guys here, they make curry out of them. And my cousin swears that they're really good. So I have not tried that. I have not tried that. Does anyone jig from bridges? Well, it's a vertical presentation. So yeah, I mean, there's some. I mean, there's a few people in the Philippines that have done that. Other parts of the world that have done that. So yeah, I think Yamamoto used in Texas. Gary Yamamoto. Okay, so one, two, three. I take four rods tomorrow, or maybe just three, right? So no, I'm not gonna pass up the other. And then I'm gonna have to rig some jigs. Oh no, I have them there. So just take that, cast it. So two boxes, three rods. I'm not gonna take the reel bag. Just gonna take a bag with the reels. So that's three reels. The lures in the boxes. That I should be fine. Fishing in the East Coast. We're going after longtail and yellowfin tuna. It's a day trip. So see, the thing is here, we can actually go 100 something miles, and that's a day trip because our boat is state of the art. Do you already show speaks for your fishing? No. Yeah. Okay. Let me get my box. Oh, found you. Oh God, this is gonna be so heavy. Oops. All right, so this is my box. Just so you guys know, it's see. Okay, this is a JDM box. It's a Ring Star, and they're better than Mayho. All right, so and this is old. Um. All right, so this is pretty standard. This is what I always take with me. So I think it's common knowledge that JDM fishing gear is best, but I get jealous looking at Daiwa and Shimano offerings from Australia as well. Is there anything Australia offers that Japan doesn't? No, no. Majority of the time, what happens is that um, it is something that the Australians are close followers, so that literally is well, just they just buy from Japan. That's it. But it's there's no such thing as Australian JDM. So Daiwa and Shimano, everything they just take from Japan, and they use a lot of like JDM in their own fishing now. They kind of evolved. So literally, the US is like 10 years behind. All right, so standard. Okay, I always take this with me. This is a Ketan. This and this. All right, so this makes much more sense because see, you'll see like the bites all over. Now, when I make assist hooks, I always say look at the jig, right? And put the jig tells a story basically. All right, so you look at this hook and you'll say that it's too long, and all this and that. But look, that's where the bites are, right? That's where the bites are. Why the hell would I put the hook elsewhere if that's where the bites are? I mean, it's custom. I make the hooks, right? If I was a slave to, let's say, uh, production, then okay, I have no excuse because I can't choose my length. But if my jig tells me that that's where they're biting, I'm gonna put my freaking hook there. It only makes sense, right? um, Here I repainted this, but this is something that I take, and this is going to see action tomorrow. It is a 200 gram. Um, what do you call this? Gumoko Slim. Okay, there are other jigs that are not really important. Here's one. Okay, so I carved this out of wood, and then I made the mold for it, and then I made this jig. So basically, what this is a replica of a jig called the Isle Metal Curve Slider, which is already not sold anymore. It's already discontinued. So yeah, that. So and then what lures or jigs are dropped? How deep water? The water tomorrow will be, uh, let's say, a maximum of about, for the jigging bit, 170 meters. Okay. Um, and then for the tuna, we will be fishing in water we can't meter. It's very very deep, but the tuna are like on the surface, so you don't really need the fish finder. What you need is meter. So we have that, we and it tracks for like a long way, right? So even when we were in, just as soon as we get out of the marina, I think the range is like 100 or 90 or 100 miles or something like that. We turn it on and then we look to see where the birds are, and then that's where we head out to. But I think tomorrow what's going to happen is, before we actually do the tuna fishing, we head out to the ledge. Okay, that's where the deep water and the bottom structure are. And then we start fishing there. And then towards the afternoon, that's when we go after the tuna. What are your thoughts on Nature Boys? Um, they're good. I have Nature Boys. It's just that I don't use them. It's just some jigs are too expensive for me to use, even if I get them free. You know, the thing I like about Nature Boys is that it's steel. It is not. It's not lead, so it doesn't bend. The disadvantage, of course, is that they're bigger than normal. For, like, take for example, 200 gram jig, you can make a small 200 gram jig out of lead. But for Nature Boys, it has to be bigger because it's steel, and steel is not as dense as lead. But yeah, they're pretty good. I use a lot of these. Tomorrow, this will see a lot of action. Okay, this was a prototype. I think this is called like a something rider. This has caught a lot of tuna. This is from Sea Falcon, and this is something that was sent to me as a prototype for testing. This I forget the name, but I'm sure it's on the list. But this is a good jig from Sea Falcon. This is like 60 gram or something like that, or maybe 100. I forget. Ouch. Um, all right. See, here's something that I will never run out of, and I always take with me. And this deserves like a mention. Okay, it's the cutlass. I never leave home without one. Okay, that is something that just has to be there. Uh, Smaller jigs. Okay, so another jig that I cannot be without is this. Okay, this is the again the smaller version, the Isle Metal um, curb slider. Remember the thing that I made and I carved out of wood? This is like the smaller versions, and don't leave the house without them. These are small, but for tuna, they're actually perfect. Shit, I hope I have the assist hooks are there, but I don't know where the single assist hooks are. Actually, that's it. There's like oddballs like these that I use. You know, one of the biggest what do you call this lead heads that you find. I have like you know, I catch amberjack with these. It's funny as fuck. You know. Uh, so the singles are here. Cool. All right. So I'm set. You know, generic jig such as this one. I forget which one is this is. 130 gram in this one. So yeah. Okay, so the line that I'm using, I have PE 1.5 for stuff up to 200, slow jigging, and then PE 2 I'll be using for fast jigging. That's like the for the schoolie tuna, and then PE 3 for my casting. So 1.5 for slow jigging, 2 for fast jigging, and then 3 for casting. Those are the three lines. So uh, we have this for casting, this for fast jigging, and this for slow jigging. So those are the three. And then for my experiments, obviously I will have the uh, L75 just so I have a picture with me with the fish with it. So I'm gonna use that until I catch something, and then stop using that and do my regular stuff. Oh, Nature Boy rods, man! Holy crap, they're good. They're really good. They're not cheap though, but they're really good. You know, and for especially for fast jigging, they have some really good rods. You know, really good rods. Uh, they're not cheap. So for me, for fast jigging, for like the big stuff, it's a coin toss between Hots and Nature Boys. You know, so those two would be it. What lure, what lures are you casting? So these types right here. So we rig these right, and there are other lures here. Might as well put them in the box now. I have one popper that I brought just in case. It's this one. Okay, so that popper, and uh, and the rest are those ones that I just showed. I am limiting myself basically, so I'm just gonna take like a few surface stick baits, um, because uh, I basically want a footage of the lure being hit. So although I know for a fact that sinking stick baits would probably work better on these tuna, I would more than prefer a surface strike. So you guys can see. Also, um, surface stick baits are harder to work. So I want to show you guys how I do it so that you can see. Um, and obviously the strike is much more explosive, but it's mostly how to use it. For stick baits, you know, you cast it out, you jig and you reel, and you know you just retrieve them. They will do their motion. That's not a good question. Um, so yeah, what kg are these fish on average? About 15, 15 from anywhere between 15, no, 8 to 20. Average would be around 15. So that's what we've been doing, preparing. Um, Actually, no. Believe it or not, I was just um, I know that if I'm going, it would be this type of fishing because of the season. You know, this is the kind of the season that we do stuff like this. Um, but having said that, if I knew that we were going and we were doing this, um, I would probably prepare a fly rod, which I can't right now. Why don't you broadcast? Because there is no signal out there. That's what I was just saying. We're trying to sort out uh, what's this Skylink. We're trying to sort out Skylink for the boat, and if that happens, then that'd be fun because it means I can go live when we're there. You know, but that's down the line. It's not gonna happen anytime soon. But I think they're still working out on how to get Starlink here. There's Starlink in Qatar or in Kuwait, but not here. Can you broadcast out there, out in the? No, that not for now. So down the line, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna add something, which I'll show you guys. All right, I'm gonna take this. So, all right, take this. Uh, just for just for the lulls. Okay. Now, have you seen this lure before? You go online, you type Rapala um, Magnum X-Wrap stick, and you'll find this. Okay? Now, look for the color, this specific color. And then tell me if you find it. Go on, guys. Try. Are you a fan? Speaking of Into the Blue, I don't know that brand. I can set up IP for you out here to do that. I will email you. We don't have the system. That's the thing. You know, that's the problem. If we had the system, then that's great and all that. No, this is a Rapala. Rapala Magnum stick. I think that's what they call X-Wrap stick. But go ahead and look for this color. And look, no branding. You won't find this color because this is a prototype. So this is like also handmade. So this wasn't run from a machine and production style. This was actually like one of the very first prototypes that what do you call this? I'll let's talk about that. I'll tell the guy who owns the boat. Maybe he's gonna say okay or not. But I don't know if it's the problem is it might not be legal here. You know what I mean? So that's why we have to wait. But yeah, I mean, and by the way, okay, that configuration when you're rigging it, that's it. That is it right there. Okay, and with that kind of swivel, that size swivel as well. So just take note. You know, if you're a nerd. Okay, now I have to find a hook. Right, let's get this sorted. Single hook. Where's the single hook stash? Ah, there. Okay, so um, 50. Whoa. Yep, 50. So this is 60. 50 is perfect. That's 8. This is 4. 7. This is 7 actually. It's just 6. All right, so all right. Now, here's a this sort of thing. If you want to increase productivity, all right. So this is a 6-0. This is a 7-0. All right, Rock. Thank you very much. All right. So one of the things that you kind of this is like what I used to do when I tested this out. You know, when it was in the prototyping stage. So um, this lure actually likes a heavy belly hook. So what I did usually was to switch things around. Now, one of the things that I've discovered was that this is purely by design, I guess. Especially when it comes to this is a sinking stick bait. So um, you can get away with a larger hook than what's recommended. Okay, so you can go up 2 sizes. Okay, so for this particular one, what's recommended is I believe 50 for this, and these are VMC. Obviously, these are Rapala. They will put VMCs on this, so these are VMC hooks. So um, this is not working. Okay, so I use the SOM pliers because they're actually perfect for this. Okay, so a 7-0 is as big as you can get for this particular one. So you can put that, all right, like this, 7. So what happens if you put like a hook this size here is that it has the weight and it makes it swim better because it's slightly heavier than the 5 that's recommended or the 7. Okay, and then what happens is once you actually have a fish on with this, um, the 7, because of the weight, okay, it acts like a pivot, so it anchors that and it moves better. um, the hook holding the capacity for the meat that it holds is way bigger, and it holds the fish really well. Okay, and there's a trick to actually hooking fish with that. Let's now on the tail side, if you put a lighter hook, and I always put it hook point up, um, hookups are also increased. And again, majority of the time for this particular one, you won't hook the fish in the mouth at the back. What happens is that it snags the fish because what always hooks the fish would be that. Okay, so there we go. So this acts more like a gaff. So when the fish actually bites this and it pivots usually like that. So um, the lighter one always at the back. So smaller at the back, bigger up front, and then they won't meet. See? And with this configuration, when I was testing it, it was swimming really well. I love pink. Um, Fish are gay; they like pink. So yeah, that's like. But I won't use this as much as I would use the others. I don't want to lose this. So that pretty much rounds out most of what I'm taking tomorrow. Um, the rest of the stuff actually it's already on the boat. I could use whatever that's on there, so we have a tackle shop at our disposal. Lighter at the back for the particular lure stick bait. Just for stick baits in general, for these types, you always put the lighter stuff at the back. See this one here. See, you have two up front. You have one at the back. Even if they're the same hooks, let's say, okay, because remember that the back wiggles, and you want the wiggle to always be very prominent. And if you put something heavy there, it anchors it and it will be sluggish. So instead of moving with a very good motion, it would actually just flow like this. Uh, so yeah, yeah, very interesting. Actually, the trannies are actually part of the booth of this Japanese brand called Bossless. I think you can actually find the what do you call this? Pictures of it. Hold on. Because they were in the news, man. Uh, yeah, here we go. That it? Ah, no, it's not. I know I saw like a picture. I don't know if I find it. If I find it, I'll put it in the community section. But that was weird, man. But I mean, I couldn't believe how many people actually went there. It was interesting. How do you measure hook size to the stick bait? So you take the widest point and then you measure the body like that. If it's actually it's like the jigs, if it fits, then if it fits the gap fits this, then that's it. It's the same thing as this. So if it folds like that and the fish strike it, there's clearance so that you still hook the fish just in case, because sometimes when it swims, right? See, it might be fast to us, but when it swings like that, the fish, it's slow motion for them, even if it's swimming fast. So what you want to do is, if just in case the hook is like that, right? The body of the lure doesn't protect it. It still has the hooking capacity, and that's how you increase the what do you call this, the hooking percentage. That's very important. A lot of people actually don't consider that. I mean, there's different schools of thoughts. That is correct. So the body of the lure does not protect the point of the hook. So that even if it folds in, right, just in case, let's say, you make a bad cast and then it flips around or whatever, or when it's sinking and doing all sorts of like acrobatics and stuff, um, the point is exposed. So, like, think about it. If the hook is not exposed, it's not going to hook anything, right? So the only thing you're going to catch there is like a bad idea. Um, I think that's it. So the rods, they're ready. So these are the rods, right? Uh, this is PE 1 to 4 rod. This is PE 0.8 to 2. So I'm using 1.5 on this. I'm using PE 2 on this. So fast jigging, slow jigging. and both reels actually have a level line. Okay, and then for my casting, we're doing this. And this is max 80 uh, grappler. It should be set. We're using PE3 on that, so 1.5 PE2 PE3. I mean, look, at the end of the day, these are not super big fish, and I've caught amberjack on PE 0.8, guys. So um, it's gonna be fun, right? And I know that if I we're going to the ledge, and what I want is to actually drop down like smaller lures instead of actually using like the bigger stuff. So if I can drop something that's 100, more than 200 or 300, then that's exactly what I'm going to do, because it's easier on the body, and also smaller presentation in these types of areas will actually get you more strikes. This might be a little too broad of a question, but can you explain the subtype of speed jig rods? Technical jerking, quick jerk, etc. So there's different tapers for different rods, and they give you different actions, right? So like take for example, um, a one pitch slider. So these are rods that are dedicated for sliding jigs specifically, and how you work them is not fast. Okay. So when you're working them, a lot of people are still working fast jigs like fast. So the kind of taper it has, it gives it a pause. So basically, it's kind of like a recoil, tuk, right? So that recoil lets the jig, like a sliding jig is a long jig, so it will make it a normal, you know, action is like a walking the dog. Okay, so with a rod like a Hots one pitch slider, what happens is it has the bounce, and then at the upswing, boom, the jig will jump up, and that's the time when it actually slides. So um, those types of rods are made specifically for those jigs, for that particular function. Now there's another one called the fake les. Like there's a rod for the fake les, and the fake les is basically drop. Okay, and the idea there is that there's a the technique is supposed to be what do you call this? I'll be with you in a second, Prima. Um, what that's supposed to do is make the jig dart and disappear in the fish's vision, and then makes it reappear, and that makes it aggressive. So that's the idea behind the fake les method. Uh, the rod has a different. I don't know what the difference is with that rod. So from what I gathered, it's still kind of like the one pitch slider and all that. Or what do you call this? The paper is slightly different, but there are specific rods for that. However, these are more like very technique specific, and unless you're actually doing something uh, specific to those techniques, like take for example, you have a dedicated rod specifically for long jigs, then it makes much more sense. You have like a broad range of jigs that you want to use. You can just stick with whatever you have, but what you do, instead of actually just working them mechanically, you have to know how to effectively slide the jigs, right? um, for the overheads, obviously, instead of having no pause, because for the overheads, um, they're easy to mechanically wind than spinning. With the spinning, okay, what happens is that at the apex you're gonna have to stop, right? You can't physically uh, do like a flat wind, ta, 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 ta. So having conventional with the action to make the slider slide better, you actually have to pause. So any rod can do that. All you have to do is just snap it, You reel, snap it, boom. When you snap it, it gives the rod that bounce, boom, and then you pause, and then slow, juke, juke, juke. So basically, it makes the jig jump and then go like that. And then once you feel the weight again, you jerk it up again, and then it goes like this. So you have to have a rod with a softer tip, because if it's stiff, what's gonna happen is it's gonna pull the jig up like that. So that's that. The rods. This is a Kodachi Storm, and then this is a Adagio 200. So I'm using this for slow jigging. This is for fast jigging. Cheap rods. So um, rods that I had from work before. But this is I'm using those instead of my usual ones because I'm using the Blue Safaris. So I'm also going lighter Dima. So my fast jigging is PE2, and then I have 1.5 for my slow jigging, and then for my casting it's PE3, and we're for fish of not more than 20 kg. So we're looking at 15, 8 around 8 to 15 average. That's it. So no need for like super heavy stuff. Unless we're fishing for like 100 kilo fish, then it's a totally different story. But that's that. Mm. So yeah, um, that's basically what those rods are for, Flavio. You know, the modern rods that you have now, it enables you to do techniques, and the strokes are very similar to slow jigging. And this is what a lot of people actually miss out, because the rods now help you more than the old style rods. Like take for example the old what do you call this? I was gonna say power spells, but the old rods from Jigging Master, old style jigging rods. These newer ones actually do the same. In fact, the action is quite similar to a slow jig, only stiffer. So like this particular one right here, my colleagues actually use it. My colleagues before used to use this for both slow and fast jigging on like the heavy side. But technically speaking, these are fast jigging rods. So it has that recoil. So like I mean, I'm gonna film tomorrow, so you guys are gonna see it. But you'll see that I'm actually not going to be jigging fast. It's just slow. Um, and then hopefully I'd also be able to like just film the jigs, put the camera pointing down so that I can show you the movement of the jig, and man, you'd be surprised that it takes very little to get them to move. So modern jigs, modern rods, right? So if you're using old style jigs, then yeah, it's not going to move the same way. That's kind of a given. Alrighty. So, guys, it's 3 a.m. I think I need to go, um, because we the trip is at 11. So I'm gonna have to what do you call this? I'm gonna have to get all of these situated, and get some last minute stuff. I guess I don't know. I mean, I have my assist hooks there. They're ready because we've been doing like all these, right? Um, if there's some stuff that I missed out, like okay, uh, no, that's. I'm also looking at the stuff that's on the table there. I should be covered. I should be covered. Like, look, guys, um, if you can see exactly what I have, you'll understand the the temptation. I have literally thousands of jigs, hundreds of reels, hundreds of rods, uh, and it's very easy to actually want to take, especially when you see the boat tomorrow. Um, it's very open, and we have a shitload of rod holders. So literally, we have like all the rods put all in place and stuff. You'd be like, what the hell? Because the cost be able to buy a house. um, it's so easy to get tempted into taking a lot of things and then thinking that you'd be able to do a lot of other things when you're there. But in reality, um, you can't do them all together, and you have to have to set boundaries for yourself. So even if you're able to take a lot of jigs, even if you can take like 5 boxes if you can. I mean, no one's going to tell you not. you know so um, it's very difficult to actually just what do you call this, just um, stop yourself. So what's been what has been the trend for me is to really minimize and distill everything and say like, okay, this is what I am, what do you call this, tomorrow. I'm gonna have to go there. I have to be at the marina at 11. So by the time I get back home, it will be late. So we'll see. I might go live, when I get home, and then I'll see if there's like some footage that I can share, that I don't need to edit, because I think what we can do, and this is something that I've discovered, is that since I can share my screen, I can actually I edit it so that you guys will see exactly what happened and all that. So that's also something nice to do for the community, before I put everything together in a one cohesive video. What the heck? And my God, man, I had to shave my head just before a fishing trip. That's tomorrow is going to be very interesting. It means that after 3 days, my scalp will be peeling because um, you know sunburn. Even if you have a hat, guys, it's crazy how hot it is. So sometimes you have to really take it off. So that's that's what's funny. Summer fishing here is it's something different. Um, when you're inshore, you actually feel the heat from the mountains, and then once you move out offshore, that's when just becomes kind of humid, but the temperature is actually a bit tolerable. So very interesting, right? Anyway, yeah. So tomorrow will be interesting. And hopefully we find the fish. Um, I'm not too sure what the state is, to tell you honestly, because I haven't been out for a really long time, and there, because of all the regulations, the bans, and everything, plus the visa process and all that. So hopefully we would have a really good time, because the last time they went out last week, it was fantastic. All right. So, uh, but someone requested for a catch and cook, so hopefully we'd be able to do that. Alrighty, like even on the boat, because these guys actually had sushi on the boat, so that would be pretty cool. Alrighty, that's it. So a boat full of guys that I taught. If I'm not filming myself, I'll be filming them. You know, so we'll see. 'Cause I'm probably gonna have one guy demo how to fast jig, how to work jigs like on a slow jigging rod and stuff. Just so we have footage for that as well. So hopefully, now after this, I'm gonna have to check the batteries, charge some more of the other one so that I have enough. Check the cameras and all that before I go. But that's that. Alrighty, so I'm gonna end this stream in a better note than it was how I did it earlier today, because that was like abrupt. Alrighty, guys, I shall see you in a few hours then. Alrighty, so 11 o'clock in the morning here, and then I'll be back here around midnight, I guess, or something like that, or probably earlier, but we'll see. Usually, because of the travel time, packing up and all that, but there's a shortcut. That's the good thing. So we'll see. All right, it's the first time that I'm going to be using the shortcut and going home here, so that's something that I'm looking forward to. Alrighty, all right, guys. Cheers. I'll see you later. Yellow bye.